Today on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the big matchup coming up here in the Big 12 in Week 6 of this 2021 college football season, and it'll be over the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns. Big rivalry matchup coming up here in Week 6. We got Oklahoma on one side. This team is still undefeated and in the top 10, but Oklahoma, they've gotten a few wins, but they don't have one big quality win yet. But they could definitely get that against a Texas team that is extremely talented. Texas is 4-1, so they do have one loss on the season. That was to Arkansas a few weeks back. But this Texas team is extremely improved in comparison to Week 2. And this Texas team is back in the top 25, and rightfully so. This is a very talented football team, and it should make for a pretty good matchup here between Oklahoma and Texas. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Last week, Oklahoma beat Kansas State on the road 37-31, which Kansas State, that was a team over the past couple of years that gave Oklahoma some big troubles. Like last year, K-State beat Oklahoma in Norman, which was quite an upset. That was a huge upset last season. But Oklahoma, they got the best of Kansas State this time around. 37-31 was the final score there, and the Sooners are 5-0. Texas beat TCU 32-27, solid win. TCU is a good football team, so overall good win for the Longhorns, and they are 4-1 with a 3-game winning streak. So once again, their loss of the season was to Arkansas back in Week 2. Texas is ranked 21st. Oklahoma is ranked 6th. Game will be on Saturday, October 9th in Dallas, Texas, so it is in a neutral location. I believe it's in the Cotton Bowl, and it's going to be at 11 a.m. Central Time. Spread currently has Oklahoma by 3.5. Over-under is 63.5, and your ESPN FPI is going with the Sooners here, 56.9%. So Sooners are favored as expected, but it is close. The spread is only going with 3.5 points towards the Sooners, and even the FPI here is looking pretty close on both sides, which is very reasonable. I mean, we haven't seen – Oklahoma completely blew out Western Carolina back in Week 2, but that's Western Carolina. And otherwise, Oklahoma's had a lot of close games against some mediocre teams like West Virginia. Should have beaten them by more. Obviously, they had that win over Kansas State, and Tulane, that was also a close game. Nebraska, close game. So Oklahoma really hasn't had a dominant quality win yet, which, of course, you need a couple of those if you want to be in the top 4 come December. But series history, Texas, they lead at 62-49, so obviously very long history between both of these teams, the big Red River rivalry. And, yeah, Texas, they lead at 62-49. Win streak, though, is Oklahoma by 3. So in recent history, the Sooners have been better, but Texas leads the overall series. But yeah, in the last 10, Oklahoma leads at 7-3. So once again, Sooners are better in recent history. Stat comparison, Oklahoma's got 38 points per game, 19 points allowed, 278 pass yards a game, 155 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 241 passing, 83 for rushing. So rush defense is outstanding for Oklahoma. This defensive line is extremely talented. Offensively, this team is very talented as well. Spencer Rattler, once again, I still consider him to be one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. Some Oklahoma fans may disagree. That's evident by them booing Spencer Rattler a couple of weeks ago at home against West Virginia, which, he wasn't having his best game. But, Spencer Rattler, he's a Heisman contender quarterback. And I think, this is a player that is extremely talented, and he's still very young. So do not be hitting on Spencer Rattler. His stats are pretty outstanding. Most Power 5 teams could only hope to get a quarterback like Spencer Rattler. So, he's a pretty outstanding quarterback. But for Texas, 43 points per game, 24 points allowed, 204 pass yards a game, 268 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 224 passing, 170 for rushing. So defensively, rush defense, especially for Texas, looks to be a bit of a problem. You can't allow 170 rush yards a game, which Texas has been winning. But it's tough to win when you're allowing that many rush yards on average per game. But offensively, this team is pretty talented. They got a young quarterback, but overall, this team definitely shows some big potential moving forward. Recent matchups for each of these teams. Once again, we went over how Oklahoma's played a lot of close games. Beat K-State by 6, West Virginia by 3. 16-13 was the final score there. And then, of course, you beat Nebraska 23-16. Beat Tulane by 5, 40-35. So, Oklahoma's been a very polarizing team. Many people think that Oklahoma shouldn't even be ranked in the top 10 right now. I'm kind of on the side where I think Oklahoma should be ranked in the top 10 because they're an undefeated team, and the amount of upside I see in Oklahoma is quite high. But, overall, this is still an Oklahoma team that needs a big quality win, and this is a big opportunity here for the Sooners. But as for Texas, they beat TCU there 32-27, beat Texas Tech 70-35. That was actually a very solid win, putting up 70 on the Red Raiders. They beat Rice there 58-0, had their one loss over Arkansas 21-40. That was in Arkansas. And then, of course, they had that win over 23rd ranked Louisiana 38-18, which was also a pretty solid win. I mean, Louisiana heading in was looking like a pretty good football team, and they were also ranked in the top 25 at the time. Some key points for this one: Oklahoma is 5-0 still. 4 or 5 wins are in close games. Don't have a big quality win yet, but once again, this is an opportunity for them. But if you're looking at Oklahoma here, this is a team who's got some recruits that are top-tier talent on both sides of the ball. Like if you look at Mims on the offensive side, Spencer Rattler, I mean, all around on this offense should be one of the best in the nation. We haven't seen that quite yet, but this is a very talented Oklahoma team, and even defensively, we see some big impact players that definitely show talent. I mean, this Oklahoma team is capable of winning a national championship this season. Like I was saying that all offseason was this Oklahoma team has got the talent to make it to a national championship game and potentially win it, but they just got to execute on their talent, which we really haven't seen yet. But for Texas, they've only improved in the past 3 games, and they're playing as well as they have all season. Quarterback situation is starting to get figured out, and Robinson, of course, your running back, is a major impact player. This rush defense for Oklahoma is good, but they're going to have to play very well against a very talented running back in Robinson. He's played pretty outstanding so far this season, averaging looks like over 100 yards a game. So definitely be on the lookout for that moving forward. But let's get to the prediction for this matchup. Oklahoma, Texas, big rivalry game. I'm going to go with the Sooners here, 38-34. It is going to be a close game. I honestly went on both sides pretty much on this game, and I could easily see either team winning. Texas, like if they pulled the upset here, would not be surprised one bit. I mean, this Texas team is playing once again as well as they have all season, and it would be a huge win for Texas. I mean, this could really lead them up into the top 15 more than likely. But for Oklahoma, this is an Oklahoma team that really needs to get their act together. I mean, they're very talented. As I just said, they've got the talent to win a national championship game, but I mean, you can't be playing close games every single week and expect to win each one. Like, this is an Oklahoma team that's 5-0 with 4 close wins over not even that good of teams like West Virginia, Nebraska. Nebraska's improved, but that still, I mean, that was just a touchdown win there. And then he had that close one, of course, to Tulane a few weeks back as well. So, I mean, Oklahoma, if they could get a win here, I mean, they'll probably get a lot more respect, especially out of me, because, I mean, Texas, this is a talented football team, I do believe. But yeah, probability 55% towards Oklahoma. Once again, this is almost a coin toss. I could see each team definitely winning this game, and I am taking the over here. Your over-under is 63.5, and I'm taking the over in this matchup if you're into betting. So that being said, though, I appreciate you guys all watching. As always, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.